I'm Evie, I'm the Development Officer for Individual Giving and Events, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. We're excited to discuss our current Resound project and speak to a few of our wonderful performers about their experience with Streetwise Opera. But before I pass you to Martin, I'd like to remind you that whilst the cameras and microphones are off, we do have our chat box which is active and will be open throughout the session, so please do share any of your thoughts and any questions that you have. We've reserved some time at the end where we go through some questions. This session is being recorded and will be sent round for you to rewatch, so please do feel free to share this with your friends as well. So now I'll pass you to Martin.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Martin Constantine, Artistic Director of Streetwise Opera. Over the next half hour, we're going to give you a sneak preview of the work we've been co-creating with participants, Streetwise Opera performers, in London, Nottingham and Manchester as part of our year-long Resound Festival. We're going to share some of the music that's been written, hear from performers about how they've been co-creating the work and the impact it's had on them, and talk about how you can join us on a journey through the festival over the next 9 months. We're going to share how you can help support the work we're doing with people who have experienced homelessness through the Big Give campaign. Resound is an uplifting operatic journey to rediscover our cities through the voices of people recovering from homelessness. We've been working in a range of different settings. Each week we run workshops in each of our 3 cities with arts venues in that city: the South Bank Centre, Nottingham Playhouse, and in Manchester, the Royal Exchange or the Bridgewater Hall. And we've been partnering with homeless organisations in each city to reach new performers through work in hostels, day centres and refuges. And we're working with a range of artists through the festival: 9 composers, 3 choreographers, 3 directors, 3 designers and an animator. And underpinning everything we do is the principle of co-creation. Streetwise Opera performers involved in the design of each project and working in embedded and meaningful collaboration with world-class artists to tell the stories that they want to tell. Resound sees for the first time performers working in parallel across the 3 cities. This was born out of the work Streetwise created online during the pandemic, which led to performers from different cities joining sessions together and working alongside each other, often for the first time. We wanted to build on this to keep these creative conversations going. 3 micro-operas are being created in each city, about that city, by performers from that city, working in collaboration with composers also based in or associated with the city in which the compositions are being made. The operas will then be shared with Streetwise groups from other cities to foster a dialogue about how we connect to the place in which we live. So what's a micro-opera? Well, really simply, it's a 3 to 4 minute story told through music. All 9 micro-operas will eventually be performed back to back in major arts venues in each city next March in collaboration with vocal ensemble The 16. And there's a link to The 16 in the chat now. And we're delighted to announce we'll be working with Amber Cooper Davis, Associate Artist of theatre and animation company 1927, to co-create 9 short films to accompany each of the micro-operas in performance. And if you don't already know the company, here's an idea of the kind of work 1927 create. It's a trailer for their production of The Magic Flute, created in association with the Komische Opera in Berlin, and it's been seen by audiences as far afield as Los Angeles, Tokyo and Shanghai. And we're now going to have a sneak peek at our first Nottingham micro-opera to have been composed. It's called We're Nor Having It, and it's co-created by Streetwise Opera performers in Nottingham with composer Ali Willis. And it focuses on the clash between workers and bosses during the Luddite uprising of 1811, with obvious contemporary resonances.
We can see days go by.
Let lots clatter about to smash the factory, and then they'll all be out. It's just not right. The machines are coming, your jobs are going down in the caves. Dissent is brewing. The machines are coming, your jobs are going down in the caves. Dissent is brewing.
I'm delighted to introduce you to 3 London Streetwise opera performers who have been co-creating a new piece with composer Ben C. Interestingly, also about protest, but in this case, climate protesters clashing with commuters on a London bus. So we'll begin with introductions.
When I first came to Streetwise, I found it very, very, very experienced. At first of all, I was nervous for the first couple of weeks. When I did join them, I got to know more with the group, and like Edgar and Nicola and all the teachers there, and it was very, very good and good experience. What I learned and different personality, and it made my heart warm and good, and I really enjoyed it, and it's changed my life, and it's taken me out of depression, anxiety, and alcohol, and it's made me a new person.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for that answer. And Dee, can you tell us a little bit about what you're enjoying most about Resound so far?
Yeah, hello, I'm Dee. Resound is a new concept that we've been introduced to, and this is teaching us how to move our bodies with together with music, and to compose and articulate each action we're doing to the maximum movements. And we've got some very good leaders, Aga and Lucia and Jess and Ben C, and these are putting us on the map for our performances. They're really helping us improve our Streetwise opera performances.
Great, thank you. Sarah, you've been a Streetwise opera performer for a little while. Can you tell us a little bit about how singing and being a Streetwise opera performer makes you feel?
Hi, my name is Sarah, and Streetwise makes me happy, first of all, and it's not difficult, because they ask us the ideas. What ideas do we want to put in the piece, and then the ideas come from us. There's no book that we can read from, so it's coming from our own hearts, and then it gave me confident. I'm more confident now, because when you're on the street, you can spend months and weeks without talking to anybody, or anybody talking to you, and it's very lonely. It's very lonely to be on the street by yourself or by other people. But when you come to Streetwise, it takes a little bit of pressure, because you can disappear in Streetwise and be somebody else than yourself and forget about your problems.
Thanks, Sarah. Dee, following on from that point, can you talk a little bit about how singing and creativity helps someone who has experienced homelessness?
Yeah, singing does help people. The word opera is the word that scares everybody off, because when you hear it, you presume that it is for elite and not for the normal person. So when you actually go into the room after singing opera, you realize that it's for everybody, and you don't want to leave, and you've had fun, and you are just enjoying being together, and you've learned how to work with friends and get regenerated, and you go out singing the last earworm that you've had.
And there's a lot of earworms. I know that the micro operas that have been written, I can't get them out of my head at the moment. Brian, based on your experience at Streetwise, what would you say to someone who thinks opera isn't for them?
Well, first of all, I thought when I heard the word Streetwise opera, I says, no, that's not for me. And when I did join them, I got to know the group very well, and I really enjoyed it. And I met this homeless guy on the streets. I told him for Streetwise opera, it'd be good for you if you just join us because it's free. And he says, no, I won't go. I said, come on, have a go. I said, when I was like you're in the position you were in, I felt the same way. When I joined it, it made me a new person. It gave me a different personality. It done me good. Now I'm a Streetwise opera now over 9 years now. And I says, look at me now. I'm happy all the time now. I go to my performance, and all the people there, we're all one big family, and we're all happy. We've got good teachers there, teach us things, and there's no judging. All your troubles out the door. We're there for fun.
Thanks, Brian. Sarah, can I ask you the same question? What would you say to someone who says that opera isn't for them?
I will tell them that you're not going to read from the book. It's going to come from you. The action is going to come from you, and you're going to love it because it's your own story. It's not a story that is given to you to do. It's a story that comes out of you, and then you'll be singing it on your own, because make your life a little bit brighter. And Streetwise is it's the very nice, accommodating, the very nice people there, and you meet other homeless people there. And because everybody there was affected by homelessness in the past, some of them are like me. We got flats now, so it will be good for a homeless person, because you get help with whatever situation. It's not just singing. You can tell them your problem. They can refer you to somebody else to help you the other problem, which Streetwise can't help. But Streetwise is just for happiness, your happiness and your mood and your daily life, because it's every week. You can come and perform and be somebody and feel equal to everybody.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah, Dee, Brian, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us this afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And it seems like now is a good moment to turn to the piece that you've been co-creating with Bensi. This is the first London Streetwise opera, micro opera, created with London performers and composer Bensi, and this is called Hustle Bustle.
We want solutions, not pollution. You gotta get yourself a job. We want solutions, not pollution. You gotta get yourself a job. We can save this town. Drive around them down. We want solutions, not pollution. Get out the road and get a job. Clean fuel, clean lungs. Stop your motor on your bike. Clean fuel, clean lungs. Stop your motor on your bike. Clean fuel, clean lungs. Stop your motor on your bike. Clean fuel, clean lungs. Stop.
And now I'm going to hand over to Marigold to tell us a little bit about the work that we've been doing at the Magpie Project in London. Thanks, Marigold.
Thanks, Martin. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Marigold, and I'm Head of Programme at Streetwise Opera. So, as has already been spoken about, since April, we've been developing 2 micro-operas in London, one in our weekly session at the South Bank Centre with Streetwise Opera performers and composer Ben C, and the other micro-opera we've been developing at the Magpie Project in Newham over 6 weekly sessions. So the Magpie Project is a resource centre in Newham for mums and their under 5s who are facing homelessness. The project supports families with the essentials and with housing and legal advice, offers creative activities, and is a source of stability and friendship for the families it supports. At the Magpie Project, we've been working with composer Electra Periavalaris to create a piece for The Mums and the Minis, which is built from their ideas and their suggestions for story and character. So as Martin spoke about, and as is the case for all micro-operas, the starting point for the piece was the city we are in, so in this case, London. The group decided to put the Thames at the centre of the piece, and the piece tells the story of how the bridges across the Thames connect different parts of London, and more broadly, how the bodies of water across the world also connect different countries and people. This idea was born from a conversation with one of the women at Magpie, who spoke about how she can look out at the water and somehow feel connected to her family in Jamaica. So in this way, the narrative of the piece has very much grown from the feelings and the emotional experiences of the women in the group. In the sessions, we are very much working with both the women and the children. And the sessions themselves have felt extremely joyful and uplifting. The staff and the women at the centre have very much invited us into their space, and it's been such a pleasure to create the piece alongside them and Electra, and their feedback has been extremely positive. Next Friday, we're due to have our final session there, and then this piece will go into the weekly group at the South Bank Centre and will be learned by this group and ultimately performed at the festival performance in March 2023. And alongside Electra, next week, we'll be joined by a movement director, Laura Dredger, and Amber, as Martin's spoken about, to gather ideas for movement and animation for this final performance. So we're all very much looking forward to next week. And now I'm going to hand back to Evie. Thanks, Evie.
So we really hope you've enjoyed this session today and are as excited about Resound as we are. As mentioned, we are currently running a match funding campaign through the Big Give to raise funds for the next phase of Resound happening in London this autumn. Through this campaign, every donation you make will be doubled, increasing the impact of your gift. If you would like to support our Resound work and join the creative journey with our Streetwise performers, we would be really grateful. And I'll just put a link in the chat.
And if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat now. And before we take those questions, we're going to have a final sneak preview of the micro opera that's been co-created in Manchester. So this is with Streetwise opera performers in Manchester with composer Nick Lewis. The piece takes as its starting point yet another protest, this time in St. Peter's Square, Manchester, and introduces the spirit of Manchester, a mystical aquabella. So this is the spirit of Manchester.
She's aquabella, soul of Manchester. She's aquabella, a ghost, a goddess, a thing unseen. She's aquabella, heart of Manchester. She's aquabella, a ghost, a spirit, a dream. Come on in and have a brew. I've got some people to introduce. Florence is an activist, and Denise corporate and rich. And there's a protest in St. Peter's Square. There's a protest, let me take you there. Oh, let me take God-given rights. We will be heard. We are going to raise.
And you can see the first 2 micro-operas created in each city live in the city in which they were written this July. And Evie's just put a link to our events page in the chat, so please take a look. And we'll be previewing a further handful of micro-operas in London, Manchester and Nottingham in the run-up to Christmas, before all 9 micro-operas, the full cycle, are united to be performed together in each city next March 2023. So please do sign up to our mailing list for details. Again, there's a link in the chat for that. We have a moment for questions, if anyone has questions.
There are none currently in the chat.
Great, okay, so we'll wrap up there. Just to say thank you again for joining us this afternoon. We would be so grateful if you consider supporting the rest of our Resound journey through the Big Give, helping us offer more creative opportunities to those who have experienced homelessness. There's a link in the chat now. Again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you all have a terrific Friday evening and weekend.